Hello, it is Sunday, November 17, 2024, and I just want to get on here real quick to talk about this recent trend that I'm seeing. Well, it was in the news recently that in these, right after the election on November 5th, quite a number of our institutions of higher learning, like Harvard, Yale, and these universities around the country, decided it was a good idea to cancel classes and to provide Legos, coloring books, and safe spaces for students, adult students, who were, I guess, traumatized by the results of the election because Trump won the election. And I guess a lot of people felt that the election was such an overwhelming landslide, and people were so disappointed that they needed to basically treat these students, including the Ivy League students, like children, like they're weak. But I've also been seeing these news reports about people now not only getting divorced and basically disowning their family members and friends whom they think may have voted for Trump, but I've also seen several reports now where at least two reports. One was of a young woman in her early 30s who murdered her father with a pickaxe because he was a Trump supporter, and I guess they got into an argument. It was like the night of November 5th. She had a meltdown. They were arguing, and she murdered him with the pickaxe and then smashed out all the windows of the house that they were living in. I guess she was his caretaker, because I guess it was simply because he voted for Trump. And then there was another one where I heard that a man, I guess if you want to call him that, more like a male, who decided, I guess he had Trump derangement syndrome or whatever they call it, and decided to kill his wife and his children, and then commit suicide over that, simply because I guess his wife was a Trump supporter, and they had just disagreement over politics. And so now it's gotten so insane out here that people are murdering each other, including family members and former friends. Not only disowning each other and just separating, like getting divorced or not going to family get-togethers, but actually murdering each other. And then I hear the thing about these universities treating the adult students like children, like kindergartners, with, giving them Lego sets, coloring books, and having crying sessions, and providing them with safe spaces and comfort food, I guess, pastries and all that, to cope with, I guess, what they would consider Orange Hitler winning the election. Now, I remember back in the day, just to show how much things have changed, where when I was 14 years old, there was, and I was at the middle school I was going to, and there was another kid by the name of Joe Fanpatra, who his parents were immigrants from Thailand. And we all discovered that he had recently been diagnosed with leukemia. And so I remember the very last day. I did not know him very well, but I knew around, he was an acquaintance. And I remember the very last day that I saw him alive was in, I think we were sixth grade. I believe it was sixth grade, or it was the eighth grade. Let's see. No, it was the eighth grade. Eighth grade math class, up on the third floor of the school building, and we were looking out the window over Broadway, which is the main street in Inglewood, Colorado, where we were at the time. And so, like, when we were looking out the window, we could see the back of the school where they had, like, the basketball courts and the athletic stuff. But across that, we could see Broadway, and then Hampton, which intersected. Hampton is 285. And so we were looking out the window, and I asked him why he had crutches, and he told me that he had leukemia and he was dying. And so we spoke a bit, and he told me that he wanted to be sent home after he passed on. He wanted to be sent home back to his homeland, which was Thailand, to be interred there. And at the time, I didn't think much of it when we were, looking out the window, talking and stuff. And then it was, I think that was on a Friday. And then the next Monday, a bunch of us noticed that Joe wasn't in class. So we were all wondering what was going on. And then over the public announcement system, the PA, at the school, they announced that it was just a quick announcement, something to the effect of, we're sorry to inform everyone, but Joe Fanpatra died over the weekend. He died of leukemia. And if there are any students who need to talk or any kind of emotional support or whatever, feel free to come down to the principal's office and we can talk to you about it. But it was literally that short, sweet, and to the point, and that was it. We didn't hear anything more about it. Even then, in 8th grade, back in 1986, I think it was 86, they made the announcement over the intercom, and then that was it. So my whole point of that, oh, and by the way, rest in peace, Joe. It's 38 years later, and some of us still haven't forgotten about you. You're gone, but not forgotten. I remember that to this day. And I remember that a bunch of us were upset. We were shocked. And I think it was how it was unexpected. And it was the way that it was announced over the public announcement system. And it was just a shock. It was like we were in the middle of class, we hear that, and it was shocking. But there were no coloring books, no Legos, no come down to the safe space room and cry, and we'll get you an emotional dog, and any of that. It was basically, if you need to talk, come on down to the principal's office. But then immediately after that, it was business as usual. No classes were canceled. We still had to do our homework, turn in assignments, study, and move on. And back then, it was also where if you were bullied, and there was a lot of bullying in school back then. It was mostly people who were, like people who had acne problems or people who were four eyes, with the glasses. Nowadays, glasses are cool. Or considered to be. Or it was people who maybe had learning disabilities, or people who were considered to be weak and would be easy targets for the bullies. But back then, and I'm Gen X, I'm like middle of the Gen X generation, and basically what we were taught growing up was life is tough, get over it, toughen up, hell, back then I was going to say, life is tough, get a helmet, but back then we didn't even wear helmets when we would go around riding bikes, the dirt bikes, the pedal bikes, or even motorcycles. And yeah, I was riding the dirt bikes, the actual motorcycles back then. My cousins and I were. And yeah, we didn't wear protective gear or any of that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, because that's kind of stupid. We were kind of dumb that way. But so my whole point of this video is that I was shocked to see how these universities are treating young adults like children. They're encouraging them to be weak and emotional, and there's nothing wrong with having emotions, but this infantilizing of young adults who are going to be tomorrow's doctors and tomorrow's nurses and tomorrow's business people and tomorrow's political leaders and tomorrow's police officers and firefighters and whatever. But to even see my alma mater, Harvard, among other elite institutions and non-Ivy League universities, to be treating these people like children. They're literally teaching them that the way to deal with adversity in life, or disappointment, or if things don't work out the way you want, that they're training these people to be emotional and weak and to withdraw. I heard that they were canceling classes and saying that people didn't have to turn in assignments because of the emotional stress. And they were saying that people if they didn't want to turn in their assignments, they could and didn't want to come to classes, well, they could take the best grade of their previous assignments and apply that to their final grade for the class. Now, when I was in school, including at university, it was you attend class and you perform and turn in assignments and do good on, and pass the test and things like that. Otherwise, you fail. And there's no excuse. Death in the family, no excuse. Somebody won an election that you're upset about, no excuse. Couldn't make it to class because your car broke down, or get somebody to bring you in. There was no excuse. It was I even heard one guy who was saying, who went to the Harvard Extension School, who was saying that he I forget what the class was that he was in, but he had some assignments that were due, but his wife was about to have their first child, so while he was at the hospital for the delivery, he was using, I guess, the hospital Wi-Fi or whatever to be able to upload assignments for the class, and it had to be in by midnight, not midnight and 1 second, that sort of thing. And it was midnight Cambridge, Massachusetts time. And if he turned in the assignment even a second late, and it didn't matter what the reason was, be it computer difficulties, or the internet went down, or whatever, or because he was there in the hospital and couldn't get an internet connection, the assignment would be counted as failed, 0, no excuses. And you'd even ask the professor beforehand, and this is back in the day, this isn't recently, but even asked the professor beforehand back in the day, told him what the issues were and all that, and he told the professor and asked for like an extension of time to be able to turn in the assignment, and the professor was unwilling to budge. But this guy was able to get the assignments in. He was there at the hospital loading up the his assignments and timing it like shit, come on. Barely got it in time, and he got an A or something on the assignment. And he was grateful for that, for how tough the professor was. And the reason he was grateful was because it taught him to be organized, to be prepared, kind of like the Boy Scouts motto, always be prepared. And that life out here can be unforgiving. So I was shocked to see how things have changed now over an election. 2 years from now, there's going to be another election. It's going to be the midterm elections. What are you going to do if you go to vote in the midterms and it doesn't work out the way you're expecting or the way you want it to? Are you going to melt down? Are you going to freak out? Are they going to cancel classes again? They are teaching people to be weak. And when I was a kid, it was life is tough, toughen up. And they even had the saying, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We need to bring that back. They used to say, suck it up, buttercup. We need to bring that back. So the tougher life is, that's your signal, or at least it's my signal, and should be your signal, to double down and be even tougher. Don't cry, don't freak out, don't any of that, but double down. If I was in class right now, if I was enrolled in a class right now, I would be upset with the professors for canceling classes and saying that we didn't have to turn in assignments. I would actually be upset about that, because you're cheating me by doing that. And when you get to the point where you're at university, you should be an adult. And when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. The tough get going. So I'm only complaining about it because of the way I've seen things have gone. And now I think that if things don't turn around pretty quick, we're in for some very, 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 very tough times, because weak men and women create very, very, very tough times. But it will be the tough men and women who will survive those tough times and turn things around and create the good times. But the snowflakes and the people who need the safe spaces and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to survive. And these universities and these other institutions who are infantilizing these people are not doing them any favors. So, I guess I'll just wrap it up with saying that even though I'm shocked with the way things have gone, being the lion that I am, since I know that out here in the real world it's competition and it's dog eat dog, eat or be eaten, as I mentioned in that last video, I guess in a way I am glad that much of my future competition is being taught to be weak, because it will make it easier for me in business and personal and professional to take care of business and crush them like bugs. And that's what I intend to do. They'll learn the hard way. So, on the one hand, I'm appalled by the way things are going, but on the other hand, I'm happy about it, because it's going to make it even easier for me to get ahead, because I want my competition to be weak and emotional and to give up, because then that way I can take advantage of you and get what I want for myself and my family and my loved ones. And but as a word of warning to the wise, life out here is tough, and you will be crushed, you will be exploited, you will be taken advantage of, and you will be run over and screwed over if you're weak. Get tough. You've got to get tough, because only the tough survive. The weak get taken advantage of. That's just the way it is. So, I'll wrap it up with that for now. And I just want to say again, in memory of Joe Fanpatra, who didn't even make it past the age of 15, who passed on in 1986. God bless you. I haven't forgotten you. And neither have, I'm sure, a lot of other people. And hope you're in a good place. Hope your spirit's in a good place and you're at peace. And I'll say this to anybody who sees this and who either hates my message or likes my message. I'll just wish you well and say, live long and prosper.